I'm glad that Ubisoft did not buy our company. Like, if you have developers that are transparent, like, your audience will trust you more. Right over here, I talked with an Ubisoft insider about Assassin's Creed Shadows Backlash. Ooh. Ooh, damn. That's crazy. Is this my first playthrough or just chatting? I think I left the first playthrough thing on just because I'm gonna be playing a game later, Dark Soul. Name your top 1,000 porn stars. I don't think I can get that much, man. All right. This video says I talked with an Ubisoft insider about Assassin's Creed Shadows Backlash. All right, let's see. So I saw this guy's video before. He talked about Assassin's Creed Shadows, and I believe his channel blew up. We're doing pretty good, this guy. All right, let's check it out. He looks like me.
Yes. As the title said, I did. I mean, technically, I'm still interviewing them. I guarantee this is real. I check their profile, the social medias, and also I check LinkedIn. So they reached out after the backlash of the video I posted on the Twitter, X, and we started having some conversation. They're someone who had worked on other Ubisoft games during the time Assassin's Creed Shadow was developed, and also looks like they worked to another gaming company too.
So to respect this person's voice and intention in reaching out to me, I'll share most of the interviews here. To avoid being identified by the writing style, I changed the grammar slightly. In this series, I'm going to have AI read their message aloud. All right. All y'all look alike?
Today, let Jeremy G read. Our conversation started with this topic.
I wanted to give you some insight into the destroyed shrine situation as a developer. In video games, objects are typically called props.
True.
This shrine with the mirror consists of one or multiple props set together. By default, all props are static or non-destructible, because making them destructible requires extra work. You have to create sound and visual effects for the moment it breaks, along with specific animations, etc. It's an extra costly process. Usually in games, destructible objects are limited to those more likely to be in the player's path, like a lamppost in GTA that you can destroy by hitting it. The first mistake was even considering these shrine items as something cool to break.
So that's the things. In other Assassin's Creed games, you really can't break religious object in a map. Like you can break the cross, right? But in case you don't know, the mirror is the most important things in the shrine. And usually the mirror is hidden to like a core of the shrine. But if you do some ritual or something, the mirror goes outside sometimes, but it's very rare.
Doing so encourages players.
Then, if it's that important, why did they allow the player to break such an important thing? But look, I've never played any Assassin's Creed game before. So let's say if like the cross, the cross of Jesus was on, like if you're able to break that, in a previous Assassin's Creed game, like did people rage and get angry as well? Like I'm wondering what the reason is. They did it because they disrespect the Japanese culture. The thing is that most of the people who worked on this game aren't Japanese. They got like some Japanese consultant, and then they got that one dude who basically lied on his resume.
To fight inside shrines. I also noticed that many enemies are placed inside Japanese gardens or on the exteriors of temples. The second mistake was failing to correct this during the backlash phase when they claimed they would be more careful in respecting Japanese culture. Transforming a destructible prop into a non-destructible one is just a click or two on a developer's computer. This means they had not considered, even for a second, how religiously significant this item actually is. I don't think people like you should call them evil.
Did I?
They are just very ignorant, not well educated on the subject, and not thorough enough in their work.
Actually, I thought about it too. But seeing Half-Leg Shrine, which is
Oh yeah, this one, the Torii Gate thing. Yeah, this was bad. This was really bad. Like, why would they do this? Because maybe they actually don't care, right? Maybe they actually don't care. Like, here's the thing. I remember the game I worked on. We were coming out with Silver Samurai, and Silver Samurai, his regular look has the Rising Sun logo on his chest, right? But the thing is that we had to do an emergency like freaking like get this shit out of our game type of emergency like right now is because a lot of Korean people play our game. A lot of China, China doesn't play our game, but a lot of Korean people play our game. And the Rising Sun logo was really, really bad, even though it's actually supposed to be a part of Silver Samurai's original costume. We have to remove it from the game is because it was insensitive, right? So if that's the case, if something like Marvel can do it in an instant, they could have done it. A bigger company like this could have done it, but they chose not to. Right, I guarantee there's some people who are like they think they're like better than you, or like they think they're like, oh, who the fuck are these people? Who cares, right? Like this is our game. If you don't like it, don't play it. That kind of stuff, right? But like this is their culture, and it's important to them. And if you want the people of the culture to play your game that you made about their culture, why not change it?
It's kind of parody of nuclear bomb Tollgate. I think many Japanese felt insulted. Seeing that lack of the research that they did in past works feels we are insulted, like we are not treated fairly. But they're gonna explain why that happened.
I'm sure the Ubisoft team is doing everything they can
I don't think
to
they
avoid
are.
further backlash at this point. So this
Nope.
issue either didn't cross their minds or they changed it in the final game, but not in this preview version, which was likely made around December.
I really hope they disabled the breaking the shrine mirror because it's very important.
For example, fixing the extremely tall and unrealistic Sakura trees is probably too
Sakura.
late now. I'm sure they were aware they were too big, but sometimes in games, developers decide it's less realistic, but it looks cool.
Yeah, it's
In
an
this
aesthetic
case,
thing.
It
I
was
get
a
that.
major mistake on their part because they are trying to build a realistic weather and landscape simulation. I'm pretty sure they made the Sakura trees oversized on purpose, so they would be visible from a long distance.
Yeah, it's because Japan, that's all they're known for, right? Sakura trees and Japanese guy with a Fu Manchu that's basically naked. But more importantly, I think the most important thing is they're trying to basically fill up the space with trees, so the game looks very lush. Like you're basically trying to fill up the background with stuff, right? So it looks you're adjusting it to make it look bigger, even though that's not realistic. But the thing is, if it doesn't look like that in real life, why did you have to make it like that, right? Because in real life, it probably looks better, right? But this village is not real. They made these buildings too big or something like that. How about like put the sakura trees more, sakura trees and more closer to the screen or something like that? But it's more of a aesthetic thing. But the thing is that you can make everyone happy. For me, like I guess I would consider myself a game developer, even though I'm an artist. Like for me, like let's say if I'm an art director and I want the sakura trees to pop, right? I would probably put them more in the foreground and then have players walk by them because we want them to look. Oh, this is how big a sakura tree is supposed to be, right? We want it. If we're talking about authenticity, and Ubisoft said that they discussed with people that are like very like in the culture with Japan, they cross-reference and stuff like that, then they should have known this. But this is like that's what I would do as an art director. But they didn't do it this way. And the thing is, going inside and making trees smaller doesn't take too much work. Maybe it like in my opinion, let's say if like you heard, oh, we need to change this, it'll probably take you like 3 days, right? 1 day to make it short, right? Get it done, and then another day to test it. And then another day to make sure like everything is working and it doesn't clip like with QA. It probably takes like 3 days if you're working on that singular thing. But here's the thing though. How many sakura trees are in the game? It's a lot. There's a lot of sakura trees that are in the game. So that means that they need to go into all in the game and adjust them manually. Unless they have a settings where it's like select all sakura trees, make them all this size. It's not like that. So the thing is that they will need to go inside the environmental artists need to go inside and adjust everything manually. And they probably didn't want to do it. That's the reason why.
Yeah, that makes sense. That explains why Sakura tree is so extremely big.
However, their mistake was underestimating how important Sakura is in Japanese culture, where everyone knows their details very well.
So having these interviews, I started to think there's a good people in Ubisoft. So it looks like the person I interviewed, they really understand what Japanese think. And I asked the question. The question I asked,
Shrink the model file that's pulled from. You can do that, but let's say here's what happens, right? Like the model size that we will get. Let's say you create it super scalable, like really really big. But the thing is that that's the source file, and then you basically drag like a copy of the source file in there, and then what they do is the source file, they leave it alone, but the actual copy of the source file, they will shrink and scale it in space. So if they do that, and they go inside and shrink the actual basically the model itself, it will shrink everything because everything will shrink together and it won't be the same, right? It's sort of like if it's like doing a smart layer in Photoshop, right? Like you make one layer and you make that into a smart layer, and then when you copy that, whenever you put those trees everywhere, but if you do any edit in that tree, it addresses all the trees at the same time.
What made you decide to talk to me about this controversy?
Internally at Ubisoft, just before Christmas, we received a worldwide communication regarding the controversy surrounding the game. In an effort to reassure us, they stated that they had analyzed all the complaints online.
It is important that we don't get discouraged by this noise. We have taken the time to analyze this situation. They represent a small yet vocal minority, and it is important to differentiate
that
between
horse walking
haters
was so bad.
and those who provide constructive feedback.
I wonder where my first video went. Haters or constructive feedback?
Not working on this project myself, I still wonder what they consider constructive feedback and how they address it. So I was not reassured as they had hoped. We were instructed not to comment on these attacks and to ignore them. From the outside,
that's another leaks stated too, right? Because I've heard of it.
You're supposed
it seemed
to.
as though the only issue they
The best way is to
acknowledged
not
from the
address it.
community was Yasuke being African and his origins in Japan. They did not communicate to us, their worldwide employees, any specific mistakes in game design, story, or the portrayal of Japanese culture. However, they did state in both internal and external communications that they were working to improve as many inaccuracies in the Japanese setting as possible. For example, the shapes of tatami mats.
A little sad not to see square tatami mat.
Yet, they were very vague and did not clearly explain why addressing these inaccuracies had suddenly become so important before release.
Oh, it
Around
has
the same
to.
time, reports surfaced online stating that the first delay of the game was partly to address historical accuracy.
Is that true?
Meanwhile, a respected leaker claimed that some of Yasuke's story and how he's portrayed in the game is being altered.
Yeah, so it's because for the marketing in Japan, they literally said like a historically accurate, and then they care about history.
Yeah, like that one dude, Thomas Lackey or whatever his name is, Thomas Lockley, whatever his name is. He basically made up everything, right? And he basically said, "Oh yeah, I'm the arbiter of truth, and I got all my shit from Wikipedia, so I'm correct." And then if you go to the Wikipedia page, that Wikipedia goes to his book that he wrote that he fucking made up. That's the thing that they shouldn't have gone with. They shouldn't have gone to this white dude. Oh, this white dude that knows Yasuke? Really? What? I'm not saying the white dudes shouldn't know who Yasuke is, but like you didn't vet his stuff. You didn't talk to Japanese locals and talk to them and ask them, and do your own research. That goes into the budget of like researching on the culture and everything. Like you should have done your own research instead of just trusting this one random dude.
Historical accuracy, and seeing a lot of inaccuracy as a Japanese feels insult or like looking down on or really ignored. Like it feels like it's like a just Japanese culture, like just like a samurai cherry blossom done. That's what we felt.
I don't have precise information about this, but it was clear they were concealing major mistakes in Yasuke's storyline, which led to re-recording some audio lines and editing certain cinematics.
It's definitely whether Yasuke was samurai or not, because in the beginning,
he's not.
In Wikipedia, Yasuke was a samurai, right? But now, after this controversy, there's a lot of Japanese real historians started saying there's almost impossible to call Yasuke samurai at a time. I'm not gonna talk about this. Just Google it if you doubt.
So again, my main concern
Yasuke is not a
was that the
samurai.
debate seemed to focus primarily on whether Yasuke was technically a samurai in title or simply a legendary warrior. This seemed like a very minor detail compared to the broader complaints circulating online.
So next question I did is, how do you personally see this controversy?
I personally
good
feel
question.
really uncomfortable and ashamed to work for a company that allowed such a debacle to happen. I truly
Damn.
regret the lack of serious preparation into
Man, if this guy gets found out that he talked to him, oh man, he would get fired. Definitely get fired, man. Holy.
depicting the Japanese setting and the failure to recognize content that could lead to cultural incidents. The fact that they secretly hid and fixed the worst mistakes before release, without taking responsibility or admitting their errors, feels like the worst part to me.
Yeah.
I'll conclude.
They
my
should have said
answer
something
with
about
a
that.
prime example of why Ubisoft completely deserves.
Yeah,
The
he was a
backlash.
retainer. Yep.
Assassin's Creed Shadows censored in Japan to remove beheadings and limb amputation. The late-stage censorship of certain aspects of the game, such as dismemberment, in the Japanese version further reinforces my belief that Ubisoft did not take the necessary steps to anticipate such issues. I have experience with CERO's gain rating process, and so does Ubisoft. We are supposed
Is that
to
like
work
the
with them
Chinese,
during a
not
milestone
Chinese,
called
the Japanese,
age
like,
rating phase, which
ESRB?
takes place around the time
Oh,
the
that's
game enters
Naoi's
its beta
face model.
stage.
You're sort of cute in
For
real life.
Assassin's Creed Shadows, this should have happened at least 6 to 8 months ago. The fact that this level of violence passed
Okay, never mind.
CERO's checks at that stage suggests that Ubisoft either failed to provide enough examples and data for a proper analysis or made last-minute design changes. While many other games are allowed to depict dismemberment in Japan, I'm fairly confident that CERO's restrictions mainly apply to extreme violence against innocent or defenseless individuals.
Yeah, and then you have a recent video that was posted out saying that you can basically go and attack a crap ton of like innocent villagers, right? Because we was ninjas and shit, yo. Black Lives Matter, bro, and we want reparations. So George Floyd was innocent, man. Oh shit, man. This is correct. Japanese war nobility, a gaijin would never would become one. Exactly, right? It's sort of like, if you guys watch Shogun, the main character never became a samurai. He never even became he's basically he's like the white warrior, right? He's never a samurai. He got a sword, right, from like his wife, his quote unquote wife, but like he never actually was a warrior. Imagine if they called him a samurai. People would be furious. Attacking innocent civilians, they're just trying to make it relatable today. Yeah, DEI samurais.
Such as priests or civilian women. This is a well-known fact in the industry, and Ubisoft should have anticipated this issue months ago.
That's something I never looked at it, but also started concerning what's going on about level 1 unarmed woman and no penalty.
That's messed up, bro.
NPCs. So next question I did.
That-
Do Ubisoft employ
It's like that lady was like, "Bro, I'm innocent. Bam, bitch." Holy, we Asians and shit, y'all. We like sushi. Yo, we watch Tokyo Drift. That's my favorite, bro. Yo, Tokyo Drift is really good though. Tokyo Drift is actually one of my favorites.
employees discuss internally? Have there been any conversation about Japanese reactions? Because I really want to know if they care about Japanese people.
I think most employees are quite uncomfortable giving their personal opinions on Ubisoft's version of Yasuke, even during a coffee break in the office. They are afraid of being accused of racism in this very DEI-driven society. Also, we have been seeing the Ubisoft backlash online for years now.
Wait, that's really toxic environment. And I'm sure it's happening pretty much anywhere.
So it's hard for most of us to really
Happening
focus
for a
on
long
just
time.
one case within this whole series of backlashes. This is basically the reason I wanted to talk to you and help your opinion get the support I felt it deserved. As developers, we are under NDA
Yep.
and cannot give our
See,
personal
that's the reason why they
opinions
can't say
about our own
anything.
games publicly online.
I mean, my opinion is that, to be honest, okay, I do understand now the developer is also suffering about environment. They cannot speak out and also the company's decisions. But to fix the issue, I think this game needs to be failed.
That's 100% true. In order for any other game to come out to make sure they don't do this shit again, is yes, the game needs to fail. We all know the game is going to fail. I don't think the game is going to make that much money. I think it's going to be probably around the same thing as Star Wars Outlaws, maybe just a little bit better. But the thing is, if I was an art director and I was at Ubisoft, and I heard, because the thing is that as a game developer, I watch like I basically see what the fans are saying about the game, right? Like if I actually had the power in my position to actually make actual changes, I would do it. It's like, hey man, this is not right. Hey, this is incorrect. Oh, hey, this rising sun chest sigil isn't supposed to be, it's actually really, really bad for people in Korea. Can you remove it? Like it's something like that. I would do it. If someone's super, super pissed off about something, that's because it's like culturally insensitive or not or inaccurate, and you're saying that your game is super accurate, yeah, of course I'm gonna be pissed off. And and I would expect the developers to understand who their fan bases are, and change it. And the thing is that they didn't change it, right? They probably changed some stuff, the tatami mats or like some drawings and stuff like that here and there, but like there's a lot they could have at least addressed it. It's like, hey, we know that there are some inaccuracies. We're working our best to fix this issue. Like there's a lot of developers who are super transparent, right? It's like, hey, we know there's an issue coming up. We're gonna fix it. Hey, we know about the issue about this. We know about this, right? For instance, a very, very good example is GGG. If you guys don't know what GGG is grinding gear games, and the people that did Path of Exile. I have over 200 hours playing Path of Exile 2. And whenever they do like the campfire or so to say, or the developers talk, or like the note patches or whatever that's coming up, the developers they bring on like a person who plays the game, like vehemently plays the game, like they play a game for like a lot, right? And they ask them, what are their thoughts, and they interview like the person, the streamer interviews the developers, and they ask them the questions. Oh, there's a bug in this game. There's this, there's that. It feels like there's not enough items. The boss is too hard. What's going on here? It doesn't like, and they say, okay, we're fixing this, but it's not going to come until the next patch, right? That is a live service game versus this one. I thought it was German Goo Girls. No, it's not. It's not. Okay. So, but yeah, it's like if you have developers that are transparent, like your audience will trust you more, right? Your audience will actually be more accepting of your stuff. Like one really, really good one that's not a live service game is Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate 3, it was in early access for a while, and then they're still, Larian Studios is still updating the game, making the game better and better and better every single day. And that's what Ubisoft needs to do. But Ubisoft is like a AAA studio, right? They don't care about what other people think, right? They prefer not to. It's like, oh, people are just complaining. Who cares? And then if your game sucks, then that's the only way for the studio to learn, is if the game makes no money. Or, they don't make their milestone.
So that company on the people on the top will know what they're doing is actually wrong. That's what I can think of. Yeah, this game needs to be failed. I can change the way I talk about this topic since I started to understand what's really going on. So I won't call them evil for now, but this game is still pretty insult. All right, next question. Why do you think people have such a tendency to lack trust in Ubisoft?
Oh, that's a good question.
I see this recent controversy surrounding Ubisoft as having two very distinct origins. The first is the overall decline in the quality and polish of Ubisoft's games over the last decade. Apart from a few exceptions.
Well, the reason why is it's sort of like when you have chat. Have you guys ever, Phil's cousin? I wish. Have you guys ever been to like a restaurant that it's like a hole in the wall or a hidden gem where it's like really, really fucking good? And you went there when you're like teenager or an adult or whatever, and then all of a sudden it pops off. It gets super, super popular. It's like it's on like magazines, like newspapers, and it's even on like Food Network. And all of a sudden you go back after it pops off, and the food is not as good. The service is not as good. It happens to me all the time. That's what happened with Ubisoft. They don't need to worry about polishing the game. It's because they know they built up a fan base already that's ready to eat shit. Right? They had really, really good games for a long time. That trust, it grew over time. Now that trust is gone. But Ubisoft think their dick is so big that whatever game they come out with, people are just going to eat it up. Same thing with Pokemon, right? Pokemon fans have been eating shit for a long time now, right? Legends of Arceus is probably like the newest best thing they released, but Scarlet and Violet wasn't really that good, and Sword and Shield were okay. The new Diamond and Pearl games were okay, but like the last really, really good ones was like, in my opinion, was probably Pokemon X and Pokemon Y. So like the thing is that like whenever Pokemon releases something else, it doesn't matter. People are just going to buy it anyways. Scarlet and Violet is like unplayable at sometimes. So the thing is that they have a built-in audience that buy anything. It doesn't matter what it is. But that's Nintendo, right? Nintendo is like that. Pokemon fans are like that. Ubisoft, on the other hand, they don't have that type of reputation, but they have a big head. And their big penis head is accompanied by a tiny shaft, right? They have a big head and tiny shaft. That's a very good analogy. That's probably the best analogy I've ever came up with.
You can objectively see this through Metacritic scores, as well as general community feedback online, and often sales numbers. Some older fans of Ubisoft titles no longer feel that the new games are as creative and enjoyable as they used to be. There is a well-documented case of Ubisoft fatigue that many players suffer from. Still, older fans feel hurt and miss the good old days. In some cases, the hate comes from past love. Many players today grew up playing Ubisoft games and loved them as kids. This sentiment is also shared by many employees, and I'll try to explain why.
Employees too.
In the last decade, while I was an employee at Ubisoft myself, I saw many colleagues lose a significant part of their motivation. Furthermore, Ubisoft has an increasingly concerning turnover rate. Senior and talented developers are leaving for other companies and being replaced by less.
Big head, tiny shaft. It's exactly how Phil likes his food as. Best analogy is a penis-based one. What a surprise, Phil. Phil has his way of words.
Less experienced employees. Very recently, the producer of AC Shadows himself revealed that half his team has never released a game before.
So wow, you could say the same things too. So it's really happening, and this is the issue. The workers in Ubisoft really losing the motivation, and then they're replaced by less experienced employees. From gameplay in the trailer, you can see it.
As you can imagine, this has a serious impact on the quality of the games.
Yeah, the horse.
Now I'll detail more about why people are becoming demotivated or leaving Ubisoft. For profitability reasons, AAA game companies will ask developers to work on the same kind of projects repeatedly. They focus on specializing their workforce as much as possible. For example, if you were a programmer in charge of enemy behavior, you would be asked to do that for the rest of your career. Within Ubisoft, if you worked on a franchise like Far Cry or Assassin's Creed, management would do everything possible to keep you on those franchises for as long as possible to improve production efficiency using safe pipelines. To make things worse, Ubisoft has become well known for repeating formulas and rarely trying to reinvent the wheel. You could even be asked to create a simpler version of enemy behavior for the next project, possibly because the person who originally coded AEI no longer works there. I believe this phenomenon also creates fatigue among developers, leading to a lack
good people
of
basically left,
which can eventually result in burnout or even depression. Many colleagues I know, including myself, dream of returning to smaller and more creative projects. Unfortunately, that rarely happens at Ubisoft.
Well, here's the thing. As a game developer, if you're working on a small project, it's usually a passion project. If not a passion project, then it's usually because you like working with the people that you're working with, and the project is just pretty cool. Once a company gets bigger and stuff like that, it does happen, and a lot of people that you used to know and there and like the cool people that you used to like, oh, I can't wait to go to work because I want to like have fun talking shit, with my buddies I sit next to, and then that person leaves. You're like, ah, fuck, sort of sucks. I have a lot of friends that left. Like, I'm basically one of the, at least in my team, like I'm one of the last people that's like been there, that's still there for like the past 7 years. And like a lot of those guys, like they either got let go, or they their contract ended, or they quit. And now for me, like I'm just going to work. It's cool that I'm working on a Marvel game, but you're not there for the people anymore. And it sort of is very, in some ways, depressing. Unless like none of your guys leave, and the people that you worked there when you started are still there, then that's cool. But like most of them, like they get burnout. Burnout is like super real in the gaming industry. It's because like they force you to like work like a shit ton of hours, or they want you to turn in a shit ton of stuff, and you're still getting paid the same amount because you're on salary.
So I truly believe the current Assassin's Creed team is weaker and less experienced,
like Rebel
than
Wolf,
it was during the series Golden Age,
100%, man.
such as with Black Flag.
So they changed. They really don't have ability to create that same quality as it was before. In result, from Japanese perspective, as AAA company, I think if they want to say like historical accurate or kind of stuff, I believe they have a responsibility, right? To me, it feels like they're just doing for money. Like they just don't care about responsibility. But again, these developers are not the one who made decisions.
This makes it more likely for them to make mistakes in an environment where many team members have never worked together before. The second point of controversy is the political and very unclear messaging Ubisoft conveys through its games. This started around 2018 when many spokespersons for Ubisoft games insisted in interviews that their games were not political. However, most game settings and stories used past or current political and social trends, such as the war on drugs, revolutions, societal collapse, and corruption. Many journalists concluded that Ubisoft was cowardly using politics in a superficial way, just enough to generate sales and interest by giving the impression that their games had deeper meaning, but without truly committing to serious analysis or...
Do you know what game does that really well? Putting politics into a game, but it fucking works and it makes sense and the game is fucking good. The characters are badass and they're hot as shit. Metal Gear Solid. Metal Gear Solid is one of those games where it's like, it's hyper politicized and the game is fucking good, right? The thing is that a lot of your veterans left. A lot of the people who worked in the old stuff left. What Ubisoft should have done is like their fourth Assassin's Creed should have been Japan. It should have been Japan right away. People have been wanting a Japanese Assassin's Creed for a very long time. And now, let's make a Assassin's Creed in Japan with a bunch of new people that never ever worked in video games ever. And then you get this garbage, right? Like I'm glad this guy's pointing it out, like the person that he's interviewing is pointing out, but it's already too late. This game has already, shit the bed.
Or deeper messages. All these titles had shallow and superficial plots, and concerns about writing quality have been growing for over a decade. I think it's safe to say that the majority of lower-level employees at the time agreed with this, and so did I. In the past, Ubisoft was known for deeper stories and stronger messages in games like Beyond Good and Evil, Valiant Hearts, or Splinter Cell. Or at the very least, for fun and lighthearted tones in games like
Rayman or Rabbids, man. Just go back to making those games. Those games are great.
Woke/inclusivity debate started online, fueled by movie and video game franchises that underwent abrupt changes in tone and vision, which felt forced to some fans. This felt even more forced from Ubisoft because, around the same time, The Me Too movement triggered a wave of employees speaking out about their experiences with mental or sexual harassment.
Man,
So that was really the turning point for the Ubisoft.
2018.
This reckoning quickly snowballed into a situation where most Ubisoft studios had one or multiple proven cases of harassment. As you can imagine, public and internal opinion of the company became even worse. My personal take is that high-level management insisted on pushing as much DEI content in games as possible to force a positive shift in Ubisoft's image.
I'm glad that Ubisoft did not buy our company, because I remember when Fox was selling, when Fox got absorbed by Disney during the buyout, Fox was basically like, okay, you know, like, we're gonna be part of Disney now, and Disney's like, oh, we suck at making video games. Ubisoft was one of the companies that were gonna buy us. Man, I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad they didn't.
And redeem themselves for having protected perpetrators of harassment. Most players perceive this as an insincere and reactionary push for inclusivity. Acknowledging this doesn't make someone racist, by the way. Now, with all this context explained, I think it's easy to see why the Shadows controversy became such a big deal online.
Man, back in the day,
and with good
Ubisoft would have
reason.
made
So
nowadays
for now, that's
tits
all.
really
So
big.
Ubisoft is watching these videos. To me, it really sounds like
I wouldn't say Ubisoft is watching the
company's
videos, but it's like
really wrong.
some of them are.
My idea, not my idea. I think true definition of DEI is that people needed DEI to prevent this, right? To prevent this happened. But DEI they have, it's wrong DEI. But yeah, it's the company's direction's fault, 100%. I think it's just
You probably would have been
horrible
fired.
leadership. And then I don't know what kind of DEI people.
Maybe if I masturbated in the restroom, I probably would have been fired. If that was the case. But I'm pretty sure Ubisoft's HR people are all fat and ugly. Probably blue-haired, purple-haired, had the side shave, multiple piercings, right? So I probably wouldn't fap to them. I'll probably still be working there.
They hired. But I think that's the problem. Because again, DEI originally exists to avoid this happened. But they're doing the opposite. They just hiring wrong people, I guess. I really hope they watch this video and change that. The breaking the mirror stuff in the shrine. According to them, it's just one click. So it must be very easy. But realize that hate comes from ignorant too. Because this happened from ignorant, right? And the people who, I forgot what they're saying. But
If you wear a
leaving
dress, they
a
can't
mean
fire you?
comment to my ex.
True.
I believe they're ignorant, that mean people. They really don't know what they're talking about. So we should know those hate comes from ignorant too. Even they think they are against hate. Actually, that immatureness and ignorant is making another hate. So it's a pretty complex situation now. But having this interview, I started having more clear vision of what's really going on. And as I said, I'm still interviewing. I asked very interesting questions. Is that true? Assassin's Creed Shadow is made in China? Some part? Any possibility? Is that true? They hire some bot to like the videos or so on. I don't know if they can answer.
Oh,
the
they're not going to
questions,
answer that.
but
The
I
bot thing,
asked
they're not
them.
going to answer.
And I'm sure they're gonna watch this video. So if you guys have some message or some question or anything, let me know in the comment. Not me. Let people know the comment. But let's be nice. Hope this video help you to have some that pictures of what's going on and what's really going on in Ubisoft. And stay tuned. Stay healthy. Love you all. Bye.
All right, cool. Good video. It's a good video. I understand where he's coming from, but like for people who don't really know the game industry and stuff like that, I'm gonna share the video right up here. Go ahead and give it a like and subscribe to this guy. But excuse me. But yes, yeah, like if you don't know too much about the games industry, like I can like answer almost any question you guys have about the gaming industry. Like I said, I've been working in the gaming industry for more than 15 years now. And I worked on projects from, I've been like on the totem pole of like everything. Like I've been like QA tester, and usually the QA testers at like Activision and Blizzard and like and Disney, stuff like that. It's like you're literally like garbage. You're literally piles of shit. And it's funny is because when I started working at Activision, they're like, okay, here's a totem pole. CEOs, developers, artists, and then like the janitor, a pile of shit, and then there's QA, all right? You guys are worthless. You guys are nothing. And being QA is nothing like grandma's boy. And then I worked my way from QA doing internships and then working as a junior artist. And then I worked on Neopets. I worked on what's it called? Disney Infinity 2.0. I worked on Guitar Hero Smash Hits. I worked on Black Ops 1. And I worked on a bunch of like what's it called again? Like other different types of animations. And then now I'm working on a Marvel. I worked from like all the way from the bottom, and then now I'm a lead. So like I have a lot of insider like news, and most of the stuff like it seems like the guy like Shohei Kondo, like he doesn't know too much about the gaming industry. And in terms of like adjusting the trees, it sounds simple to do, but it's tedious work. The game has about a month, and the thing is that they probably need to ship the game probably a couple of weeks, like the actual like final build of the game. They probably need to get that shit ready already. So, and all the art book and stuff like that, they need to have all that shit ready. So I'm not sure if they can change the game. Now, let's say if there was like a day one patch, I can see them doing it, right? Let's say, oh, they want to go ahead and change all of the trees to make it the correct size. They want to change you can't attack the mirror and the shrines, all of that kind of stuff. If that can be addressed, like using a day one patch or like a week patch later, it's like, oh, there is a patch coming out in about a week where a lot of these things are going to be addressed, right? Then, and a lot of AI stuff is going to be addressed, and like the bots are going to be addressed, and then the actions and the combat UI is going to be addressed, and like all that kind of stuff is because it is true. Usually the stuff that they show you like on Ubisoft, like the trailers and stuff like that, that stuff is like stuff that was done like 4 months ago. So yeah, it's good to know that he was able to get into contact with one of the developers at Ubisoft. That it looks like he's not working on Assassin's Creed Shadows. But yeah, this is a good video, and hopefully he can talk more. Is because like usually like I would say this guy probably has the most in my opinion like the most views in terms of influence of being a person that's Japanese that's complaining about the game, and those complaints are they have merit. So we'll see what happens. I don't think they're gonna change it. It's because this person that's talking to him is talking to him like in private, and it's just like what he sees from the inside.